Hi, I'm Bill Hitchcock, and this is the last sheet that we have from Chapter 7, Special Functions. And we're going to be taking a look at date functions again, just a few things to help you understand kind of the concept of dates, and also some random number functions. So, what I've got on this particular spreadsheet is I want to test out a few things. So, at the beginning I've got some dates, a date number. I'm going to play around with, what do I have in here? Looks like 29 different dates that I'm going to work with. So for the first one, the random year, I just want you to put in 1900. For the random month, we'll make that 1. The random day, 1. So for the random date, it's equal to the date function, sorry about that, of this year, comma, this month, comma, and that day. So I use the pointing method to enter in that formula, and we've got January 1st, 1900. So let's go ahead, right-click on that cell, format it. We'll use a custom format, and for my custom format, I want to change this from M/D/YYY to backspace that out, DDD, which gives me the day, MMM, the month, DD, the day, comma, YYYY. There's my 1900. Hit OK, and we've got that. The serial number equals this date, but then we're going to format that using a comma format. Get rid of the decimal places. So that is day number 1, or Excel thinks it's day number 1. The fixed date, I'll just leave that blank for right now, and I'll show you what we'll do with that. Alright, I'm going to highlight all these cells. I want to adjust that so I've got font size 9 on all of these. So I'm just going to highlight these cells, change my font size to 9. That looks a little bit better. Alright, next, for all the rest of the dates, what we want to do is we're going to type in equals RANDBETWEEN, parenthesis. And my RANDBETWEEN is the start and ending date that I had up at the top and the bottom. So the lowest number is going to be the start date there, so B1. I'm going to hit function F4 a couple of times because I always want to use row number 1. Type in a comma. The top is my end. And again, function F4 a couple of times. Hit enter. I get 2019. It picked a random number between 2005 and 2020. Years might give you a different value because, again, it's a random number. So if I copy this down, it's given me just a bunch of random years all the way to the bottom. But actually at the bottom one, I'm going to change that back to 1900. So that one's going to be a fixed one. But notice, if I hit Control Home, notice my first year is now 2014. Because every time it recalculates, it always does a different random number. In fact, if you want to watch it recalculate, hold your function key and try your F9 key, which forces a recalculation of Excel. So I'm still holding function. I hit F9 again. Notice that my random numbers are changing each time I hit F9. Alright, so I've got that. I'm going to copy all of these formulas all the way down to the bottom. So I'm holding my Shift key and using my down arrows. Hit Control C to copy it. I want it for the random month. I'll hold my Shift key and the random day and hit enter. And there I've got random months between 1 and 12 and random days between 1 and 28. And the reason I use 28 is because I don't want the dates. If the month happens to be February, I don't want the day to be anything past the 28th. If you like on these, you could format these cells with a comma format. It'll take them just off the right-hand side of it a little bit. But I would not do that for the years because you don't want commas in there. All right, I've got my random date here and the serial. I'm going to highlight both those cells, copy this down, and we can see that for this particular random date, which was 2009, June 6th, Saturday, June 6th, 2009, it is 39,970 days since January 1st, 1900. Right, down here at the bottom, I've got some nums here, so the random month for the last one, I want to try 12 and 31, and my serial is 366 because 1900 was actually, Excel thinks it's a leap year, so we've got 366 just kind of to check those values. All right, once you've got these random dates, and some of it, it's like, why do you want to generate random dates? Well, you might want to generate it if you're doing like what I'm doing, is I'm showing you how these things work. So it's a good way just to get some random information. The other thing too is sometimes you might want to assign people to do different tasks at random periods of time. Say that you've got you don't want everything all coming in on the same dates in a week. So you might have a group of employees and assign them kind of random dates and say, all right, I need so many of you on Monday, so many Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you could do something like this to assign them to those dates. So I'm going to take all these dates, highlight them, copy them, come over to the fixed date, and then if I go to paste, I want to paste both the values and the formats, and then widen out that column. And now every time I hit function F9, my random dates change, but my fixed dates remain the same, so I've got them kind of locked in place. So, again, if you're going to do this with our employee example, where we're trying to do some things where you assign people to different random days, once you generate the random date number, then put it into a separate column and lock those in by using paste values. All right, we'll do something similar for hours. So I want to start out first, I want to find out what happens if I do 0, 0, and 0 for the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. So my random time uses the time function. Time function is, I'm going to point to the hour, comma, the minute, comma, and the second, and it tells me it's 12 a.m. I'm going to change this format slightly. I want to try this format so that way I can see what happens with the seconds. The serial function will do the same kind of thing. It equals the time, and then I want to change that format to a general format, and that will work. And let's try out our RANDBETWEEN function. So let's do that here. I'll grab the one from the month. I'm going to copy that over to here, here, and here, and we'll see if this is working. So this is giving me a random number between J1 and J2. All right, so notice that I've got the $ for the rows, but not the columns. Here it's K1 through K2, L1 through L2, so that looks good. Let's copy this down. Actually, you know what? Before I copy it, I'm going to copy these down. And let's take our serial numbers and let's use let's decrease the decimal point. All right, so you can just kind of see what's going on with the decimal points there. So if we have a fixed number of decimal points. So this number basically tells you what portion of a day 4:22 a.m. happens to be. And we'll see what happens when we copy this down to give you an idea about those serial numbers. All right, so here I've got a bunch of random dates and times. Again, these aren't going to match up with what you have because they're random. But we come down to the very end. Let's try putting in 23, 59, 59, and it's 11:59 p.m. and my serial number is just about 1 or 1 day. So I've got that plugged in. Let's hit Shift End and up, and let's copy all these times. So Shift End and down, Control C to copy it. Come over to the fixed time, choose paste, paste the values in the number formatting, and I've got those locked in place, and we can try some different things. Again, you know, some of it is just to generate data that we can use and have some random times and so on. Or likewise, if you wanted to assign people and have them come in at random times during the day, you could use a function like this to generate some of those random times. All right, that pretty much wraps up this entire set of sheets. We had everything going back. Let's go to the beginning here. We've got our date functions. We had the time functions. We did truth table with some, I guess, reference functions. We've got the match and index ones, which had the lookup and reference both the match and index and like VLOOKUP kind of functions, that sort of thing. We had database. We've got present value, future value, net present value, and finally this random date and time. Now that you've worked through all of that, hopefully you'll have a little bit better appreciation for all the different functions that Excel has, and also kind of working with some of these things and being able to apply them in a number of different situations.